Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Tomahawk Talk. My name is David Waters.
And I'm Luke Hardin.
Welcome in, everyone. This is definitely going to be a little bit out of the ordinary for us because we're normally pretty silly guys, but episode 11, this one's just going to be dedicated to three legends that we've lost in the last couple months. Hank Aaron, Phil Niekro, and Don Sutton, we have all lost since December. And this episode has kind of been a long time in the making for us. We've kind of pushed it off. We needed to prepare a little bit for it, and
yeah, it was definitely. It's definitely an emotional topic. I mean, definitely for a lot of people that, know them personally. I had the chance to talk to Phil multiple times over the years. You see guys like Hank and Don. They're just great guys, great people, and it's hard when you lose somebody like that. So definitely, we were putting it off, but we were just not ready to do this episode because the fact is it's a sad episode. It's not something that should happen, but it is, and it's sad. So.
And we're not going to, this isn't going to be like a normal episode for us either in those terms, because we're not going to be like joking around like we normally do. And
yeah.
We're not going to be doing our wallop segment. We're not going to do a top moment. We're going to end on something a little more special, I think, which is going to be Hank Aaron's 750th career homer. We'll probably do Vince Scully's call on that. So, arguably the greatest Braves moment of all time. I don't know if does that top the 1995 World Series. I think historically speaking, yes, it is. Because if you're just a baseball fan in general, you've seen that clip. But so I don't think either of us got the chance to meet Hank, but I know I've heard from people who actually did have the chance to meet Hank, and just a phenomenal guy. You said you talked to Phil on multiple occasions, and I've talked to Don Sutton on multiple occasions, and so we can both have like personal experiences that we can share, our favorite memories of these guys. And we aren't going to have our DFA Liberty Media segment, but I had to put that in there because this is a tradition. But obviously this is a pretty serious topic, and we definitely don't want to make jokes about this. I mean, it's been a sad off season for Braves country, and not in terms of the franchise right now, but we've lost three legends, three baseball Hall of Famers, and three guys that had an impact beyond the playing field.
Yeah, for sure.
So it doesn't really matter who we start off with. I think we should probably save Hank Aaron for last, just because he had, his impact off the field was so tremendous, and I feel like that would just be fitting to end on him. But
I agree.
We can start with Phil Niekro first. So I know you have a few stories about Phil Niekro, and on a personal level, and you got to meet him a couple times, had some cool experiences with Phil. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. Phil Niekro was a guy that throughout the years, I played baseball against the team. He was the pitching coach, obviously, for the team we were playing against for so many years. And he, after a lot of games, he would go to the mound and just talk to guys. Like, it was just the love he had for the game was something that, everybody has the love for the game, but there are certain people you can tell, like, that guy lived, breathed, and ate baseball. Like, he that was his life for so many years, and he made an impact on a lot of people. One of my good friends I know personally, he throughout the years he worked with Phil. He throws a knuckleball now he learned it from Phil. He learned it from, 2 or 3 guys he's known personally throughout his baseball career. And then his nephew, who we played against for so many years also. I mean, he was one of the he was such a nice guy. We played against him. He was a competitive guy. Nothing bad to say about Phil or his anybody connected to Phil. It's just such a great person to be around, talking baseball, and just a great person in general. So with that, I'll let you take the floor for Phil as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to meet Phil in person. I actually had the chance to. I just, I kind of chickened out a little bit because he was at a baseball game I was playing in, and I just didn't really want to bug him. But looking back, I probably just should have said hey and introduced myself, and because I know my dad grew up watching the Braves in the '70s and '80s, and all those terrible teams in the '80s for the Braves, but we were pretty bad. But Phil Niekro is definitely a big highlight for the Braves and my dad's childhood. Watching this guy throw a knuckleball was absolutely fantastic. This guy's career, obviously a Hall of Famer, and is credited with inventing the knuckleball. Had the nickname Nuxie in honor of that pitch. He won 318 games in his career, struck out 3,342, which is an insane amount. A career 1.268 whip, pitched 21 years for Atlanta, 2 for Cleveland, 2 for the Yankees, and 1 for the Toronto Blue Jays. But obviously best known for being a Brave. And he and his brother Joe are the winningest pair of brothers of all time. Joe's also a great pitcher. Wasn't a Hall of Famer, but one thing about Phil Niekro is he only got the chance to pitch in the postseason in 2 years, only 2 starts, and combined 14 innings and 600 runs. So not the best in the postseason, but obviously pitched for a lot of Braves teams that really gave him no run support. That's why he has so many losses, 274 career losses. That's a lot. But obviously pitching for so many bad Braves teams during his time here, it just goes to show like his record and his ERA and all of his stats are just pretty astonishing. Had 43 complete game shutouts, pitched over 5,000 innings in his career. His all-time ranks, he was first of all, he was a 5-time All-Star, won the 1967 NL pitching title. In 1980, he was awarded the Roberto Clemente Award, which honors people for their off-field accomplishments. 5 career Gold Glove winners. He is 16th all-time in career wins, and he's 11th all-time in strikeouts, 4th in career innings pitched, which is insane considering in the history of baseball, only 3 guys have ever thrown more innings than Phil Niekro. And 29th in career shutouts. I believe I think he's has allowed the most walks in a career. 3rd most, sorry. Walks, but obviously knuckleball, a very hard pitch to control. But obviously I didn't know him off the field like you did, but from just looking at his stats and how much of a competitor he was, and this guy pitched until he was 48 years old. Like he was the Jamie Moyer before Jamie Moyer.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. And you said it like he was a pitching coach. What year was that when he was a pitching coach? Do you remember like
If
about what
I
year?
was I was 13 or 14 at the time. It was
So
like middle school
so that would have been about
times.
2014, 2015. He
Yeah.
would have been about 75 years old.
Yeah.
So his dedication to the game of baseball um, was it's it's really just insane to go back and look at what he did for the game of baseball. Um, inventing the knuckleball, the pitch is still around, and it's kind of rare, but it's such a fun pitch to watch. But man, Phil Niekro, he lived in Flowery Branch, where the Falcons train in the off season and for their workouts and everything. But he pitched a no hitter on August 5th, 1973, part of the Braves Hall of Fame and part of the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Inducted in 1997, he won the. He led the league in wins twice in 1974 and 1979. Led the led all of the major leagues in ERA in 1967. Led the NL in strikeouts in 77. And his number 35 has been retired by the Atlanta Braves organization. Obviously, he outside of baseball, he managed an all women's team, or that was after his professional career. He taught his nephew Lance Niekro to throw knuckleball, however, Lance was unsuccessful in the minor leagues, and he was actually a first base prospect, but he was with the San Francisco Giants organization. He was the only player elected to the Hall of Fame in 1987. And Tony Perez and Don Sutton were among the other eligible players who were not elected that year. So Don Sutton, we'll get to him in just a bit. But after he was notified of him being inducted in the Hall of Fame, Niekro said, "Giving a description of today's phone call was impossible. I've been stunned before. I just didn't prepare myself this year. I was not going to get myself so high." The year before, he had received the most Hall of Fame votes out of all the players on the ballot. But obviously, the first 4 years on the ballot, he had not gotten the required 75% of the vote. He was a board of directors for Kiss Toys, which is a toy company based out of Cumming, Georgia. And he has a restaurant at Coolray Field, home of the Gwinnett Stripers. It's called Niekro's. There's a restaurant in there. So it's cool that the Gwinnett Stripers have honored him there. And he also, he and his family support the students of Bridgeport High School. Not familiar with them, but with the proceeds from the annual golf tournament called the Niekro Classic. And he died in his sleep December 26th, 2020, at the age of 81. And we had later found out that he had been battling cancer. So definitely a big loss in the Braves community and just the baseball community for the suburbs of Atlanta too. I know we both competed against his grandson, so we were obviously like around him and his family for a time there. Unfortunately, I never was able to meet him, but yeah, I don't think it goes. I think it just goes without saying, but it's a tremendous loss, and he's not alone, obviously, on that list, but it's a very sad. It was a very sad day when we lost Niekro. I remember I was playing golf on December 26th, and I was with my dad and grandfather, and told them the news, and which was kind of hard because we were in the middle of a fun little get together, and an idol from my dad's childhood had passed away, and it's never fun to inform people of that. But you got anything else to add?
I mean, like you said, I mean, this was a guy that both our dads grew up watching. He was basically, like the guy that they watched growing up, like their teen years, going through high school, college. That was the guy that they watched for so many years. And I mean, my dad met him. He coached against him multiple times. They've talked a lot. They've gotten in a little bit of a tussle before. Um, but that's just the competitive nature of the game, and just the competitive nature of Phil. I mean, he wanted to win, and he sometimes it would come out in his emotions, but that's not always a bad thing. He was a great guy, and he did later um apologize actually to my dad. But he's just a great guy. He's a great person on and off the field, and the competitive nature gets to it. It's a competitive game. I I don't hold that against him. That's Phil. So he's a great guy, and I'm gonna miss him. It's really sad.
Hmm. And his brother Joe as well. I also want to bring that up. Obviously, uh, Joe won, let's see, 221 games in his career, and Phil won. How many did Phil win? I just said it, but um, Phil won 318.
318. Yeah.
318 and 221. Like, how much is that? Over 500 combined wins between the two. 539.
539, yeah.
Most wins ever by a pair of brothers. And Joe Niekro, he passed away in 2006 from a brain aneurysm at his home and near Tampa, Florida. And his Joe Niekro Foundation, it was created by his daughter Natalie, and it's committed to supporting patients and families' research, treatment, and awareness of brain aneurysms, AVMs, and I mean, it's got hemorrhagic. I don't know how you say that word. Hemorrhagic. I don't know. Strokes. I'm not familiar with medical terms and all that, but obviously, the both of them had a big impact on the game. And Joe Niekro actually hit one home run in his career, and believe it or not, he had 973 at bats, had one career home run, and it came off of his brother. So had to throw that one in there as well. So, yeah, the Niekro brothers are forever enshrined. I mean, Joe Niekro is not in the Hall of Fame, but he's in the Houston Astros Hall of Fame. So, both of them were phenomenal pitchers in their day, and definitely a huge loss for the Braves community. You definitely will be missed. So, I'll let you start with Don Sutton. I know Don Sutton, he passed away on January 19th, earlier this year in 2021. You want to say anything about that? About Don?
Yeah. I didn't actually have the privilege of meeting Don personally. I know you did a few times, I believe. But Don was a guy I always listened to on the radio coming home from baseball practice or wherever it was that particular day, listening to Braves games, me and my dad. I mean, I would always be like, turn on the Braves game, and it'd always be Don Sutton on there. And it was, I mean, that's the voice I put with Braves baseball. Don Sutton and Chip Carey are the two guys that I put with Braves baseball, and one of them sadly passed in Don, and it's not going to be the same. I feel like I love Don. His commentating was awesome. It was definitely one of the best that I've heard. He gave you a picture into the game when you weren't there and when you couldn't see it, and I think that's something that not a lot of people can do. It's a really cool thing to listen to on a nightly basis wherever I was coming from. And I recently I have not listened to a ton of Brave games on the radio. I have listened to a few, most of them recently. I have not though, and it's even when I do turn on the radio to listen to Braves games, it'll hurt. It won't feel the same, and it's gonna hurt. So I'll let you talk a little bit more. I know you met Don personally, or
Mhm.
you met Don a few times, so I'll let you speak on that.
Yeah, and when I was listening to the radio a couple years ago, he missed the entire 2019 season. He had a broken femur that year. So Jim Powell was the main guy on the Braves radio network on 680 The Fan and on FM at 93.7. If you're from around Atlanta and you want to tune into a Braves radio broadcast, and if you're on the road or wherever, or if you're not able to watch a game, but yeah, Don Sutton. First time I met Don Sutton was I, I think it was 2018. It was 2018 at Chop Fest, so it was around January. It was late January um, of 2019, and I'm trying to remember. I think that year I went by my uh, no, yeah, I went with my mom. I think that year, and and my mom is not like a big Braves fan. I've tried to get her into it, but she's not a big sports person at all. So, um, she obviously cared enough like to bring me to SunTrust Park, and that's what it was known as back then, and it was up until 2019. But um, Don Sutton, he was speaking. There was like this. It's behind the Chop House in like the second deck. There's like a little uh what's the word? It is like a not like a conference room. Like I guess you can have like press conferences there and or whatnot, or like you can rent it out, have do whatever. And I believe it was Don Sutton and Alex Anthopoulos or Don Sutton was interviewing Alex Anthopoulos, um, and people could sit in on the sit in the rows of chairs that they had set up, and all the chairs were taken, but I stood kind of in the front left corner and just kind of listened on, and I was it's obviously kind of it's a little strange to be honest, like hearing like seeing Don Sutton's voice or like seeing his face with a voice, because I was just so used to hearing his voice and not seeing his face, but like seeing his face like match up with his voice, it was kind of like an interesting thing. And so after he was done interviewing Anthopoulos, it was like an open floor discussion, and fans could like raise their hand and ask Alex Anthopoulos or Don Sutton questions. Don Sutton was asked a few, but most people were asking Anthopoulos stuff just because they want to know, like, obviously, if someone was going to interview a general manager, like they could give you a lot of insight to what's going on with the team and stuff. So a lot of people were asking Alex Anthopoulos questions, and I didn't raise my hand. I didn't really have a question, but I just really wanted to, shake both of their hands, and I actually was able to meet Alex Anthopoulos as well and got a picture with him. And Don Sutton was there just kind of like standing around, and I think one of the person like went up to him and like shook his hand and just started talking baseball and stuff. So I kind of like stood by him and just waited my turn, and finally I was just able to like introduce myself, and just like, it's kind of like weird matching up a face to it, like a voice that I've heard for years. I grew up listening to you, and he says, I'm quoting him like head on right here. Well, they always tell me I have the face for radio, so I have the face of radio, or what I think, something like that. So obviously you can't see his face if you're listening to radio, so it was kind of like he was making fun of himself there. And that's just the kind of person Don Sutton was. He never was like too. He was always had a great sense of humor, and great stories coming back from his playing days, especially with the Dodgers and Angels, and um, he told some darn good stories, and he was really good at what he did, both in the booth, on the field, and he couldn't have been a nicer guy. And in 2019, I went back to Chop Fest, and it was actually the exact same scenario. I think he was interviewing some players this time instead of Anthopoulos, but um, I was with my dad at that point, and my dad had grown up watching baseball, so he watched Don Sutton a few times on TV and um, watched him pitch, and obviously listened to the radio when we were in the car and stuff. So, since I had met him the previous year, I actually asked, like, do you remember me from last year? And I think he actually did remember me, or at least he said he did. I don't know if he did, but he I got a picture with him, so that's on my personal Instagram if you want to like see the pictures of me and Don Sutton. And I met him 2 years in a row, so got a picture with him twice in a row. He signed a ball for me, and since I had the floor the year before, when I went with my mom, I introduced him to my dad, because my dad was probably he was like a kid in a candy store, meeting a guy from his childhood. And I didn't really talk to him much that time, but obviously it was sometime between that point in late January and the season where he had that injury where he couldn't broadcast in 2019. I didn't hear him at all in 2020. I don't know if he was even around, but I didn't really listen to the radio much, being at college and stuff late in the season. And when I was at home, I was basically, because we were basically just in our homes the entire summer. So I was able to watch more Braves games instead of being out and having to listen to the radio. So, yeah, it was, I don't remember the conversation. I remember bits and pieces of the conversation between him and my dad, but I think, no, it was in the 2018 season. So this wasn't like my first time my dad had a story with Don Sutton. Back in the 2018 season, we had we have a spot where we like to get tickets for SunTrust or Truist Park, and it's right below the press box. You have a great view of the field. You can get some great pictures up there. You can see everything up there, right underneath the press box. So occasionally a foul ball will reach up there, but I don't know, it's kind of cool because you can like look up behind you and you can see some of the broadcasters. So you could see like Chip Carey, and at that point it was Joe Simpson. And we saw Don Sutton, and I kind of waved up to him, and with my dad, and my dad was like, Don, and like we both waved. And I've told the story on the podcast before, but in case in case someone didn't hear it, I'll tell it again. But he pointed at me, and like he kind of motioned me over. He gave me a little finger wag, like, come here. And so I'm like right below him. He's kind of like leaning over the ledge there a little bit, over his desk and over in the window, and he drops down 4 club tickets to the Infinity Club, which is in the second deck behind home plate. Really comfy seats. You get, you have like servers and waiters and waitresses like coming around, and it's a cool spot in the park. You have the leather seats and everything. It's really, I don't know if it's like real leather because of the rain, but just, I mean, I yelled up at him and I was like, thank you so much. And he never like peeked back over. He like, so I never like knew if he actually like heard my, like my thank you. But when I talked to him in 2019, I made sure to like, in like a game back, I told him like back in it was a game. I'm assuming it was in the summer at some point, probably June or July. I was like, you dropped down 4 club tickets for me and my family. Like I only had 3 people. They gave us 4 tickets. I tried to find someone else who wanted to, maybe someone I knew who was at the stadium, wanted to get that 4th ticket. But Couldn't find anyone, but so I have an extra club ticket from a game in 2018 that no one used. But um, I did thank him, and he seemed to be like really appreciative that I actually like went out of my way and thanked him for that. Um, and every single time I met him, he couldn't have been a nicer guy. And you know, I have his autograph. I have his baseball on my bed frame back at home. I have an entire display of autographed baseballs in my bed frame because there's like little slots that are like perfectly sized for an autographed baseball case, and his is like really fading away. So like it's kind of sad because like I know I'm not gonna be able to get him to like re-sign a ball or something. But um, it's like he signed it in like a gold ink pen. I guess that's all I had or whatever, or like someone like lent it. I think someone was just like, Sharpie's terrible. Why don't you use this? Because I always try to get Sharpies because they show up better, but they also smear. So it's kind of like you take that risk if you want autographs. But so that ink on the baseball is like really starting to fade, and I'm not sure if it's going to last much longer. But definitely just my experiences with Don Sutton. I mean, it was only those 3 interactions with him. Such a nice guy. He did not want my picture with him to go on social media. He was like, "Don't be posting this to all your friends and whatever." And I was just like, "Yes, sir." And like I did, but but it was just such a cool thing. Like I just wanted to kind of share and like I've never like told anyone like that story because like I've maybe told you because you're a big baseball guy. And I mean, I don't think like a regular guy at school is going to be like, "You met Don Sutton? That's crazy." Like because a lot of people don't even know who Don Sutton is because maybe they follow the Braves now, but they don't follow like baseball history. And Don Sutton's a big figure in baseball history, and he had a great playing career. And he was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1998. He was the only player elected that year, only 1 year after Phil Niekro was the only guy inducted. So, you want to talk about his playing career?
Yeah. I mean, Don, I don't have the stats pulled up, but I can tell you this: Don Sutton was really good at baseball. Don Sutton, let's see, I'll pull up his stats. Don Sutton had a career ERA of 3.26. He struck out 3,574 batters, which is absurd. That's crazy. He had a strikeout per 9 of actually only 6.5, surprisingly. But I mean, I wish I could have watched it live. That would have been a lot of those guys back in the day. Obviously we're seeing guys that in the future 30 years from now will be saying, "Man, I watched that guy in my childhood." And that's what this is for a lot of people, a lot of Braves fans, or just a lot of, baseball fans, guys like Don and Phil and Hank. I mean, those guys were some people's childhood. And I mean, guys like, Mike Trout, Ronald Acuna, Freddie Freeman, those guys eventually they're going to move on from baseball. And guys like Don Sutton, who finished their career and then now they were doing broadcasting or radio, which what he did, and he did it really well. And it's awesome to see that he still loved the game that much and wanted to stay in the game. I mean, all these guys are competitors. They love baseball, and we love baseball. So it's awesome to see people like this that care enough to give back to other people and be a really big inspiration in people's lives. like, I mean, I will remember Don Sutton's voice my whole life. That's the guy I will put with Braves baseball, and it's really, it hurts. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned his 6.1 Ks per 9 innings. He just threw 5,282 innings, which is an absurd amount. There was some stat, I'm trying to find it, but he has had 324 wins in his career, 14th all time. I'm trying to find what was the stat that's just so staggering. That was so staggering. He was a 4-time All-Star as well. He won 1977 All-Star Game MVP, 1980 NL pitching title. I'm trying to remember. He was 7th all-time in career losses, which is not like a stat that you would want to be a part of, but obviously if you pitch that much, like you're going to have quite a bit of losses. He's 7th all-time in career strikeouts, 3rd all-time in career games started, which is 3rd all-time. There's only 2 better than that, and those 2 were Cy Young, who, no surprise, like this guy like pitched basically every game in his career, and Nolan Ryan, who pitched for 27 years. So you like, to be behind those 2 legends, the Cy Young, like obviously the Cy Young Award is named after him, and Nolan Ryan, like the Express, like every baseball fan knows who Nolan Ryan is. But if you look at guys who, like, Don Sutton is ahead of in that department, he's ahead of Greg Maddux, he's ahead of Phil Niekro in 5th, Steve Carlton, Roger Clemens, Tommy John, Gaylord Perry, Pud Galvin, Walter Johnson's in 13th, one ahead of Warren Spahn, Tom Seaver, Jamie Moyer, just a ton of guys that are so familiar for baseball fans. And for Don Sutton to be 3rd on all time behind Cy Young and Nolan Ryan, that's just insane to me. Let's see. There, obviously, the 324 wins, 256 losses, 178 career complete games, which, like, by today's standards, that's just next level because you don't see complete games anymore. This was back before pitch count was like a big factor and everything, and this was also before when batters would swing first pitch all the time, and because obviously, like, early in the count, you have a good chance of seeing a lot of fastballs, and they knew it, and they tried to hit the fastball, and a lot of them did it very well, and a lot more guys back then made contact. Not as many strikeouts during this era. He had, I know he had 3,574, which is a crap ton. Oh, don't get me wrong, but he gave up the 5th most home runs in his career, the 25th most walks. It just goes to show you, like, that's what happens when you pitch as much as he did. And he has 58 career shutouts, which is 10th best all time, behind the only guys who have more, are mainly just guys who were way before his time. Like, the top 5 is all like pre-1930. So Walter Johnson, Pete Alexander, Christy Mathewson, Cy Young, Eddie Plank, Warren Spahn, and then in 7th place, tied with 61, is Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver, and Bert Blyleven is 9th, and Don Sutton is 10th on that list in all-time career shutouts. And he pitched, obviously best known for his years with the Dodgers. Came up in 1966 as a 21-year-old. Pitched all the way until he was 35, and then with the Dodgers, and then he went to Houston for about a year and a half. He was with the Milwaukee Brewers for a bit. He was with the Oakland A's for a very brief stint in 1985, and same with and then he was with the Angels for a couple years, and then he finished out his career as a 43-year-old back with the Dodgers, as a 43-year-old, of course, as I said, and still pitching pretty darn well near end before. And you know, and his broadcasting, I wish like more like radio broadcasts were like freely available like online that I could just pull up, because I know like for a fact Don Sutton had some great memorable calls. It's just like they're kind of hard to find, and I would love to play like something that would be like, you know, a moment that would stand out in terms of broadcasting. I after he passed away, I got a few comments on my Braves page at Braves News 101, and people wanted me to post some of his best calls of all time, and I looked very hard to find like 10 really good ones. But just radio calls are just so hard to find, and I could only find like 3 maybe, and I just decided to not do it, and just, you know, maybe one day if I can like manage to compile a bunch more, then yeah, maybe I'll do it again, but or at least try to find a few more. They're just hard to come by, but definitely a voice that I listened to a lot in my childhood, and I know you did as well. So Don Sutton, do you have anything else about Don Sutton that you want to share?
I do not, unless you have something else.
Yeah.
I think I hit on most of my points that I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So,
Don Sutton, like when he passed away, like it hurt me because I knew him personally, like, and Don Sutton, just a phenomenal guy. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about like his stuff off the field. So he started out with the Dodgers, and then this was in 1989. He started his broadcasting career with the Dodgers, and he was actually with the Braves on TBS for a brief time. And then I believe, in 1990, he became a full-time commentator for the Atlanta Braves in 1990. And in 2002, he was diagnosed with kidney cancer, resulting in the removal of his left kidney. And he underwent cancer treatment. And while he was undergoing treatment, he continued with his broadcasting career. He left TBS after the 2006 season, mainly because the network would broadcast fewer games in 2007, and we know TBS no longer broadcasts Braves games. I wish they did, but TBS cut back on its number of broadcasters because of the limited amount of games. So he worked for MASN for the Washington Nationals as a color commentator from 2007 until early 2009. Even though he had 2 years on his contract, he negotiated his release in order to return to Atlanta, where a radio job opened up, and he partnered with Jim Powell for a very long time, since 2009. Of course, missed the 2019 season due to a broken femur, but he was an avid golfer and wine enthusiast, and frequently made references to those while he was broadcasting, and he also broadcasted golf for a brief time as well, and also was a pre-game and post-game analyst for NBC's coverage of the ALCS in 1983 and 1987, and worked as a color commentator for NBC's coverage of the 1979 National League Championship Series. So this guy's been a broadcaster since 1970. Had been a broadcaster since 1979. Did it for about 41 years. And obviously had a long career. How many seasons did he pitch? In the league for 23 years. Very underappreciated in terms of, a playing career as well. And Sutton, of course, just a great guy, and everyone I've talked to that has ever met Don Sutton has just, everyone just has great things to say about him. And same with Phil Niekro. I mean, same with all 3 of these guys that we're talking about today. Obviously, some of Don Sutton's career highlights: he was a 4-time All-Star. He His number 20 is retired by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Member of the Braves Hall of Fame. He became the fourth member ever, or fourth broadcaster to be inducted to the Braves Hall of Fame. He was inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame in 2015, the fourth broadcaster behind his mentor, or three of his mentors, Ernie Johnson, Skip Carey, and Pete Van Wieren. So a section of U.S. Highway 29, the main route for drivers leaving Pensacola north into Alabama, is named Don Sutton Highway in his memory, and a youth baseball complex in Molino, Florida, I think I'm saying that right, also bears his name. So yeah, just Don Sutton and Phil Niekro, both of them, rest in peace. I mean, it's just losing them within a month of each other was tough enough, but I mean, it did hurt, for sure, both of them.
Yeah.
So now this is probably, I mean, I don't want to throw like Don Sutton or Phil Niekro under the bus, but the even though they were huge in the Braves community, the most influential Atlanta Brave of all time passed away on February 22nd, I believe. January 22nd. I'm sorry, not February. And that would of course be Hank Aaron, Hammer and Hank. And this one was the one that I think we needed time to just kind of get a better idea of what he meant to athletes, not just in America, not just baseball athletes, but like so many athletes around the world, for not just baseball, for any sport. You want to start with Hank Aaron?
Yeah, Hank. I mean, what can you say about the guy? You can't say enough about Hank. What he did in the community, what he did on the field. I mean, you want to talk about his career. He had one of the best careers ever. He impacted so many people, and that moment, the 715 moment, where he broke the record at the time. That was a moment that people look back on, and that's the moment that sticks most with me with Hank Aaron. That is, I mean, you look at YouTube videos, it's such a cool moment seeing everybody congratulate him, and everybody, you see just everybody that, they came on the field. They just came out there and came on the field and just they just started, congratulating him. Everybody, like the other team, everybody congratulated him, and that's the impact he had on the game. He was awesome for baseball, and I mean, he's one of the most influential icons in sports, not just baseball, just in sports in general.
Yeah, you don't even need to follow baseball, and you know who Hank Aaron is. So Hank Aaron, this was a 2017 article in Bleacher Report. They ranked Hank, or this guy named Andrew Gold, ranked him as the 5th best baseball player of all time, behind. I'm going to disagree with this because I think he could easily be the best player of all time. Just looking at the stats and everything, he's behind Ted Williams, Barry Bonds. I mean, if you're thinking of it from like a clean standpoint, like Hank Aaron should just blow Barry Bonds out of the water. Willie Mays at 2, and then Babe Ruth at number 1. But I mean, you look at what Hank Aaron did and accomplished during his career. I mean, he literally is just an icon for sports. He's an icon for America. and he's just for the Black community as well. And this guy is in everyone's top 5 best baseball players of all time. And pulling up an ESPN article and seeing where they ranked him, but number 1 they put Babe Ruth. Number 2, I have to click on the number 1 by 1, which is going to take a little while. Willie Mays at 2. At 3, they have Barry Bonds. Okay, this is like this exact same list, but they have Bonds at 3, Williams at 4. They literally took the exact same list. I'm not going to even look at it. I assume he's probably 5th, but in terms of like, he and Jackie Robinson are like possibly the most inspirational baseball athletes of all time. Just because, of course, Jackie Robinson with the color barrier, and Hank Aaron playing at such a high caliber of a level. It's just, I wish I had been able to witness him play.
I wish I had the opportunity to just see a game, just one game with Hank Aaron. That would be probably the coolest moment ever. That would be such a cool thing.
Or just shake his hand. I never got the chance to meet him.
Yeah.
You never did either. Just always something on my bucket list that I always wanted to do. And he endured so much racism, so many death threats. When he was just doing his job. He was just playing the game he had always played. He was just doing what he loved, and he was getting death threats for it. And obviously there is no room for that in anywhere in the world. But unfortunately it did happen. And I'm just wondering if that ever like affect the way he played the game. Did it hurt his playing ability at some point? Could he have been even better than he was? I mean, it's just, a lot of like, what if Hank Aaron had not endured so much hatred, and just, he went through so much. And I wish I could have just met him. I just like, I have so many questions I would have wanted to ask Hank Aaron. And do you got anything you want to jump in on?
Yeah. I mean, seeing Hank being interviewed on like Fox Sports South with Chip Carey and Jeff Francoeur, multiple times over the last 3 or 4 years, probably, just talking about everything he did with the civil rights movement and just baseball. I mean, that's one of the moments, like, a lot of times when I'm watching Braves games, you're watching the game, but like, you're listening to the announcers, but that's one of those moments you tune in. You just want to listen to a guy like Hank Aaron and know what he has to say. It's important. It truly is important. Everything that he did on and off the field it's inspiring for everybody. And I think people, hopefully in the future, this isn't lost on anybody. I hope Hank Aaron is treated as the icon that he is, and he was, and still is today, and hopefully in the future as well. Obviously, the everything they have with the Braves Hall of Fame, but I hope broadly, just in the baseball world, they do something to, we talk about them changing the name to Hank Aaron Field and Truist Park. I think that would be that fits. That would fit. Hank Aaron was Atlanta. He was Atlanta, and people loved Hank for that, and I hope that's not lost on anybody in the future.
I don't think it will be forgotten. I think he's just too much of a legend. I think guys like maybe who played before, like let's say 1920 or whatever, probably are most of them are lost, except there are a few exceptions um, like Cy Young and Honus Wagner and Ty Cobb, those guys, and but you still hear about them. I mean, obviously people have arguments, people have their own opinions, and people may say that Ty Cobb is the greatest hitter of all time over Hank Aaron and Babe Ruth and all those guys, and that's fair. I mean, I definitely think that Ty Cobb. I mean, obviously it was a different era, so I don't know how much effect that had on his play, but Hank Aaron was just obviously, as I mentioned, he endured so much. But just his playing career, his stats are there. I mean, the most common one you hear about Hank Aaron is obviously the 755 career home runs. But if you take away all 755 of those homers, he still had 3,000 hits. He was a 25-time All-Star, which I'm going to point this out just because he wasn't an All-Star for 25 seasons. He was a couple of years they had 2 All-Star games. So I think if I tally it up, he was an All-Star for 21 years in a row. From the age of 21 in 1955 until 1975. 21 years he was an All-Star. And he deserved it, of course. And it's just this all he did was hit. All he did was play the game the right way. And he has the most RBIs of all time, 2,297, 6,856 total bases. That also is the most of all time. His career wins above replacement, 143.1.
Wow.
That's
that's unheard of.
How much? I want to look just to compare. I want to pull up Mike Trout's career WAR. Obviously, back then you didn't have you didn't.
Mike Trout has a career 74.6 WAR,
and that is over a 10-year stretch. So we're talking Mike Trout and Hank Aaron, or Mike Trout's on the path to Hank Aaron, but obviously Mike Trout, he's going to be 29 next year. So that's still pretty darn young, but can he maintain this pace into his late 30s? I mean, that's yet to be seen. We're about 7-8 years away from seeing that and seeing if Mike Trout can, keep it up. But, obviously Mike Trout's not going to get 25 All-Stars. He's not going to be an All-Star for I guess 2020 there was an All-Star game, but he was All-Star 8 years before that, from 2012 to 2019. But 3-time MVP for Mike Trout, but Hank Aaron only won 1, and that's probably some of that is racially motivated. I think if all the voters were completely, I think that racism played a big part in his career, and there was a lot of it in the 50s and 60s and 70s. I mean, that was the time where we saw Martin Luther King and all these Malcolm X. We saw these guys around this era, and Hank Aaron was, the best black athlete on the planet, and he was the face of the Braves. And I'm trying to think. I completely forgot what I was saying, but if you have anything to add, just go ahead.
I mean, I don't know what else to say, honestly. Hank just there's so much you can say, but so at the same time, it's hard to put it into words because I mean, what he did was extraordinary in his career and on and off the field. It's hard to put into words a lot of the time, especially on the fly, just talking here about Hank and his career. It's, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's so many things you could say, and
Mhm.
we obviously can't
Like,
put it all into this podcast.
there are not enough words in the dictionary to describe the impact and the career and just what he did off the field and what he meant to athletes around the world. There's no way we can possibly like begin to describe just how extensive that is, the impact that he had. I mean, and a lot of people don't even give him credit, but this guy, and he started out in the Negro leagues with the Indianapolis Clowns. I mean, he was a little skinny kid, teenager, and he earned $200 per month. Sorry, I just felt or I heard an echo there, so I tried my best to. I'm still hearing it, but if you can still hear it on y'all's end, like we're trying to fix it, but
Okay, so I tried again to try to eliminate the echo, and now I'm not hearing it. That's so strange. I'm not hearing it anymore. Now I started recording again. But um, if that was bugging you, I apologize. I don't know how to really fix that. We'll try to figure it out at some point. But we were talking about we were talking about Hank Aaron and the
Yeah.
Negro Leagues. And even in the Negro Leagues, he endured a lot of racism. And even also as a young kid, I remember watching this tribute video to him. As a young kid in Mobile, Alabama, in the Deep South, this little kid had to hide under his bed with his siblings and his family and hide from these people out on marching in the streets who were part of the Ku Klux Klan, part of the KKK, and like who knows if they actually had found him there, what could have happened. Like it's really scary. Would we even have a Hank Aaron if the KKK had found Hank Aaron hiding under the bed? We don't know. But thank goodness they didn't find him. And so coming out of the Negro Leagues, he performed at a great. He performed tremendously well, and he actually received 2 offers from MLB teams via Telegram. This was how long ago it was, and one from the New York Giants, and the other one was from the Boston Braves. The Giants, like Hank Aaron said years later, I had the Giants contract in my hand, but the Braves offered $50 a month more. That's the only thing that kept Willie Mays and me from being teammates. $50.
Wow, that's unreal.
So I mean, I could make a Liberty Media thing here, but I'm not going to do it. But it just goes to show, like, during those days, obviously $50 was a lot of money. I'm not saying like you can sign a player for $50 anymore, but or whatever. But I'm not saying that would be a huge difference nowadays. But it just you never know who that next superstar in baseball is, and obviously the Braves kind of took a gamble on Hank Aaron, and it obviously clearly worked out very well. But and it's how Sports Bureau these stats aren't like completely accurate, because it's the Negro Leagues and like a lot of the stats aren't unknown. But a 366 career batting average and 26 official Negro League games, 5 homers, 33 RBIs, 41 hits, and 9 stolen bases. So I have also heard like the Negro League stats are going to be counted towards Major League stats. I have not seen like it hasn't popped up in his career stats at this point. So he doesn't have 760 career homers, but obviously the 755 is iconic. They had the address of Turner Field, 755 Hank Aaron Drive. They have a lot of Hank Aaron like statues around and like just stuff to honor him. They have the Hank Aaron Rotunda or Henry Aaron Rotunda or whatever they have. No, not Rotunda. I'm thinking of City Field because I took a trip there as well. The Hank Aaron Terrace, that's what it's called at Truist Park. Over, I think it's in left field.
Yes, that's correct.
But obviously, we discussed this with Jordan Rager yesterday, or at least like we're recording this a few days ahead of time. But we recorded with Jordan Rager yesterday, and again, Jordan, if you're listening, thank you so much for coming on. But we asked him about how much it would mean to name the field Hank Aaron Field at Truist Park. And I know, like he said too, like of course Truist has the naming rights and all that. So it kind of has to go through them as well. But obviously at this point, it's just the right thing to do. In all honesty, and I don't know if I hope it happens. I know we have the Hank Aaron Fund, a little charity thing that they announced at his memorial service held at Truist Park. I mean, it's just insane. I hope that they can name the park after him, or name the field at least, like what they did in Oakland with Ricky Henderson Field or whatever. But if you're looking at like Hank Aaron Field, I think it's very easy to say Hank Aaron had a bigger impact on the franchise and on the league and for the world. That he had a bigger impact than Ricky Henderson. And I'm not saying Ricky Henderson wasn't a good player or whatever, but I feel like if you have someone that special for an organization, that's just the right thing to do. And I hope we are able to do that while his wife Billy is still here. When I was watching the memorial service on Fox Sports Southeast, or Fox Sports South, I always get them confused or whatever, but actually it was on MLB Network and I watched it on my phone. But obviously just seeing his wife there, and everyone just, I'll admit I even teared up just watching it because I just knew, like, I was like, wow, this guy had, touched players in more ways than you can even like explain. I mean, you heard stories from, I think, who even spoke? Marquise Grissom spoke. I think wasn't Freddie Freeman there? Chipper Jones was there. I don't know if Freddie was there, but Chipper Jones was there, and
Chipper was there.
I mean, yesterday on the podcast when we were talking with Jordan, we were talking about being starstruck when me and him, both of us met Chipper Jones, and we were just completely starstruck, and like it was like we kind of like didn't even know what to say. Chipper Jones, this guy is an idol, a baseball icon. He had one of those moments when he first met Hank Aaron. This is a guy like Chipper Jones is a guy like he's already enshrined in baseball immortality at the Hall of Fame, but like an absolute legend in his own right. But for him to be like really nervous and like for Hank Aaron to touch him like so deeply, I mean, it just shows you like he had an impact that just went beyond the playing field, and obviously inspired the African American community in so many ways. And obviously I can't speak from experience because I'm not African American. I can't like say what Hank Aaron means to me, because like I've never experienced that kind of racism ever, and you know, I don't. No one, regardless of race, should ever go through that. But what Hank Aaron went through and what he did for the game of baseball and what he did for the community, and I've watched interviews with him. Obviously, he was interviewed with Chip Carey and Joe Simpson and Jeff Rancour, and I think he was interviewed on Sunday Night Baseball a couple years ago, and just always had a smile on his face and was always so humble. I mean, he had every right in the world to just be bragging about his playing career, and he wouldn't do it. He would just be like, he would just talk about everything but his own. He would talk about anything except for himself. And that just goes to show what kind of person he is. So, I mean, this is insane. But like, he has so many honors that I'm just gonna try to go through them. Like, this might take a while, but bear with me.
Yeah.
Because Hank Aaron is like, it just goes to show how much of a legend he is. He was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1982 on his first ballot, 97.8% of the vote. The 2.2% who didn't vote for Hank Aaron, I don't know if that was racially motivated or what happened there, but like, I assume like his race probably did, you know, cost him 100% of the vote. Obviously, like, no one had 100% of the vote until Mariano Rivera just a couple years ago. But if anyone was deserving of it, it would be Hank Aaron, obviously. Obviously, as I mentioned before, a 25-time All-Star, but obviously a couple of years where there were 2 All-Star games. So 21 years in a row. He won 1957 World Series, and a year in which he also won his only NL MVP. He won 3 Gold Gloves. He a 2-time NL batting champion. 4 times he led the NL in home runs. 4 times he led in RBIs. His number 44 is retired by both the Braves franchise and the Brewers franchise. He's part of the Braves Hall of Fame. American Family Field Walk of Fame. I'm not really sure what that is, but he's honored there as well. Major League Baseball All-Century Team, which is just basically probably the biggest honor of any player from the 20th century. MLB record 25 career All-Star appearances. MLB record 1,477 career extra base hits. 2,297 career RBIs is a record, and 6,856 career total bases, another record. Earlier this year, on January 5th, he got his COVID vaccine, and he was very public about it. He was like, really encouraged people to get vaccinated, which is obviously a big thing in 2021. You know, so he's trying to get the message out, and obviously if it's Hank Aaron, of course you're going to listen to him, but so some of his other honors, he obviously the Hall of Fame, he was awarded I'm not too familiar with this yet, but Spingarn Medal from the NAACP. In 1977, he received the American Academy of Achievements Golden Plate Award. I'm not, again, like a few of these awards I'm not familiar with, but he was inducted into the Wisconsin Athletic Hall of Fame for his time spent there with the Braves and Brewers. In 1999, Major League Baseball created the Hank Aaron Award to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Aaron surpassing Babe Ruth's career home run record of 714, and to honor Aaron's contributions to baseball. And it's an award that's still given annually to baseball hitters voted the most effective in each respective league. That same year, he was named to the Major League Baseball All-Century Team. And the city of Atlanta was converting Centennial Olympic Stadium into what was known as Turner Field. Many local residents hoped the stadium would be named after Hank Aaron. So obviously, the Hank Aaron Field has been, like, it's been around for a while. So, but instead they have the road that Hank Turner Field was on. It was originally named Capitol Avenue, but then they renamed it Hank Aaron Drive, and it was 755 Hank Aaron Drive. After the amount of homers he hit in his career,
Very iconic.
And it's also what's Truist Park's address? Out of curiosity, is it also something Hank Aaron related? 755 Battery Avenue. So yes, they did retain it. 755 is part of Truist Park's address as well. I mean, he has so many awards and he deserves it.
He's also the active RBI leader, and nobody will
ever
probably nobody's gonna. The closest person is Albert Pujols. He is 193 or 97 off. He's not gonna get up there. Maybe
unless he plays until he's 45, but
yeah,
it's unlikely.
But Hank Aaron will probably hold that title for a long time, a long time, if not forever. So much deserving for him.
So they have a memorial out. It was in the parking lot of Turner Field for a landing spot of his 715th career homer. It was just like a little green wall. It wasn't very commemorative at all. It wasn't really fitting at all, in my opinion. This is where Atlanta Fulton County Stadium had been standing. They put a little memorial outside the left field wall where it was, and it was, by the time he passed, it was like basically forgotten about. There was like littered and trash and stuff, and I mean, it was a shame to see. And a couple days, I mean, in the next couple days after he passed, more and more people paid tribute and left flowers and notes and all kinds of stuff by the memorial. And they're going to be Georgia State University. Their baseball team is going to have a new baseball park on the former Fulton County Stadium site, and they're going to incorporate that left field wall. So I'm not really sure what that's going to look like yet, but that's the current plan. In 2000 and 2002, he threw out the ceremonial first pitch. The MLB All-Star Game played at Turner Field and Miller Park, respectively. And on January 8th, 2001, Aaron was presented with the Presidential Citizens Medal by President Bill Clinton. But then in 2002, in June, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. He got that from George W. Bush. And I believe he described that as like the highest honor he's ever received. And that's, I mean, obviously for a icon of our city of Atlanta, and for the organization and for baseball, and just for America and the world in general. I mean, it was the right thing to do. He wasn't just a ball player.
Yeah.
So there's so many other things to go over, like other honors and whatnot. But that obviously, Presidential Medal of Freedom is the cherry on top, honestly. And there is an exhibit at the Baseball Hall of Fame called Hank Aaron Chasing the Dream. And I apologize for the echo. It's back. So just bear with us. So statues of Aaron stand outside the front entrance of both Turner Field and Miller Park. I don't know if they have one at Turner Field anymore, or Georgia State Stadium as it's called now. And I mean, I just also there was as a memorial service. There was like the Hank Aaron Fund or whatever. I don't really know the details of that yet. I was hoping when they said we have the honor of announcing this or something along those lines, and he said, they said that I thought they were about to announce like Hank Aaron Field, and I got really excited. They said Hank Aaron funded. It was kind of a disappointment, but
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, a Hank Aaron fund, it's great. I'm not saying it's not great, but I feel like that would just be the best honor. And I know like literally every Braves fan that I've talked to completely agrees. Like Hank Aaron Field at Truist Park, I get it; it's a mouthful, but like we could still like say Hank Aaron Field. We could still say Truist Park. We could just leave out one part or the other. But I think just the honor of putting his name into the stadium, it's the right thing to do. It's just that's something that's going to be there for as long as Truist Park is around. I think if we decide to do that, and we definitely should. I know it's kind of not even up to the Braves. I think it's up to the. I think if it was up to the Braves, they would definitely do it. But Truist has the naming rights, so it's up to them. But Atlanta sports teams, the Falcons, Atlanta United, and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They're all retiring the number 44 in honor of Hank Aaron for the 2021 seasons for all of their teams. It is expected that the AAA team, Gwinnett Stripers, and Atlanta Gladiators of the minor league hockey team will also be involved in temporarily retiring Aaron's number 44. And the Hawks are not involved in this whole ceremony because they already have retired number 44 for one of their old players. So, but I mean, I've tried my best to try and make this kind of brief, but I mean, Hank Aaron just had such an impact on the game of baseball and off the field and on the field. And his story just, I mean, it touches me, even though I wasn't even around to see him play. I've only been around to see him speak. And hear him talk. And it's, you said it earlier. Whenever he spoke, you wanted to listen. You just stopped what you were doing and you just listened to Hank Aaron because guy was just an absolute. He was legendary. That's the only word I can really describe him. That's the only one that I can really think of. So
yeah,
you got anything? I know I've been talking for probably I don't even know how long.
No, you're good. No,
but
I mean, man.
So I'm gonna give you a little shot to honor Hank best you can. I mean, I know you kind of already have, but if you want to add anything to it.
I mean, I like we said, I think the Hank Aaron Field, I think that's a must. I think that has to happen. I know they have the 755 with the address, but the field honoring would be, you're going to a place, you're going to Hank Aaron Field at Truist Park, and that would be the best. That would be so cool, to be able to see that happen in our lifetime, hopefully soon, hopefully in the next few years. I would hope that does happen and that it stays and it sticks for a long time. So that's about all I have to say. I mean, we could go on and on about Hank, but we're going to keep it a little bit brief. But
I mean,
Hank is an icon.
I mean, I know this has been about an hour and a half, but we could probably talk about even to an even bigger extent the impact he had on lives around the game of baseball, and not only baseball, but the Black community in general. Just such an icon, an idol, and I think Vince Scully's call for his 715th call said it best. He said, I mean, we're going to play it in a second, but, I think what was the call? A black man is receiving a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol. And I mean, that says the best, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I mean, he said so much in just a couple words, and I mean that's just power of Vince Scully for you. But I mean, you want to talk about like all three of them: Phil Niekro, Phil, Don Sutton, Hank. Just the impact they had, tremendous. And I really hope that we can honor Hank in every way possible. I really hope that we can name that field after him. I think there's so much support for it, and obviously I don't know the financial stuff behind all the naming rights and all that, and I don't know how it really works. But so I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on it. But just so it's just so we make it clear, we are 100% in support of that.
Yes,
without a doubt. And Hank just endured so much racism, and he didn't deserve any of it. He was just born that way, and people hated him for it. And no one ever. I hope nothing like that ever happens again, where anyone has to endure that much racism. I think Hank would tell you that. Racism has no place in this world, and our time here is short. And we can't spend our short time here on Earth just hating on other people. There's too much to life to just do that.
Yeah.
But is there any last things that we want to say about these three guys, or are we done?
I don't have anything else.
I think we'll go ahead and wrap this up. So
yeah.
So just a little bit of the podcast in general. I know this is like not really like, obviously this podcast is a lot more serious than we're kind of going out of our comfort zone. We're always kind of goofy guys and whatever, and we were joking around after the podcast yesterday about like high school and stuff, and we had a great conversation, and we just laughed and shared talking. We had so many great things to talk about. This just brought back some great memories, and then we were just like, we got to do this before spring training starts, so we can just. So we're recording this on Tuesday, the 23rd. This is probably going to be going out on Thursday, the 25th. So, and so I hope that everyone is, everyone who knew Hank personally or knew any of these guys personally is, hopefully we did them justice, and hopefully we said enough. And our deepest condolences to everyone who knew them personally and their family and their loved ones. Just, it's hard to describe, but
it is.
More about the podcast. So last episode we talked with Jordan, and Jordan said a little bit of profanity and stuff, and like we always say, like we try to keep it family friendly. So I mean, it's going to be explicit, but that's when we have a special guest who like legit like want to be there and talk baseball with us, and we had the honor of hosting him. I mean, it was just like we didn't want to like tell him like, you can't say this. I mean, so again, if like that was like if someone out there considers that like unacceptable or something like that, like we apologize, but I know that's like some people, but personally, both of us, we want to make this as family friendly as possible. So
we want to
if
reach all viewers or listeners.
Yeah, I do want to, like, if that were to happen again, I would want to bleep it out if possible. And I know you can do it with iMovie and stuff, but I try to get iMovie on my, like, iMovie is not working with my Mac right now. I updated my Mac and it just hasn't been working since then. So if anyone out there knows of an app I can use to maybe edit audio files and stuff like that, please let me know. Email us. Everything is in the description. DM us, whatever you want. But yes, once again, a big thank you to Jordan for coming on this podcast, and we had a blast. It was fun.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
So hopefully we can do more collaborations like that in the future. So I think we will definitely end on Hank's 715th career homer. I think that's just the perfect way to go out. I wish I could find like some really memorable Don Sutton calls, and I wish I would have definitely done that earlier today, but or early in the episode. But I just hope we said enough today, just to honor them. And I know I'm kind of dragging on now, but anyways, next episode, also the top 10 list, they will continue. We can
Base will be next.
Third base, we're going around we did, position 1, obviously, pitchers. We're going around the diamond and like the numerical order. So third base will be next, and we're probably going to be releasing those throughout spring training and maybe leak a little bit into the season, but we'll try to wrap it up before the season the best we can. But obviously we have.
Then we start talking about sorry, go ahead.
We're just really busy right now with our schedules and stuff. I just had a couple hours just to do this, and I don't want to sound like this is a burden to do because I love doing this. I mean, I would, if this was like if I did this, like if I had more time, I would do this like all the time. And I would record every day if I could, but obviously school comes first, so
sadly school does come first.
But
we're getting through it. So
I think the next time we record, we're going to be we have another special guest that we're going to be talking about our off-season recap. We're looking forward to that one. We're probably going to be recording that Friday, Saturday, somewhere in that window. So we're going to try to record it before our first spring training game. So that echo's terrible. Hopefully, like, it's not too bad on our listeners' end. But so is there anything else that I'm missing for a podcast? Oh yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've been uploading some of the podcasts on there. A link to everything is going to be in the description of this episode. Everything you could possibly need, unless I'm forgetting something. But follow us on social media. Use my promo code Braves News on SeatGeek. This episode is not sponsored. That's just kind of not appropriate to do in a
it didn't feel right.
We don't need to do it when we're just honoring the lives of 3 great guys. So
it wasn't the time, but. They will be back next episode. It just wasn't for this one. This one
was kind of out of the ordinary. As I said, I think next episode we'll be back to normal. We'll be laughing. We'll be having fun. We'll be talking baseball. I mean, we got a lot to talk about too. So we'll talk about everything from we'll address the Mariners situation with their owner or part owner. And some of his comments, and we'll talk about Jake Lamb and Travis Snyder, a few guys that we have just recently picked up, and we'll discuss Ozuna again, Morton, Smiley, all those guys. We'll discuss that in episode 12. So stay tuned for that. And let me pull this up real quick. I should have been prepared, but I'm not. So, Luke, you got anything?
No, I'm excited to, this was a very heartfelt episode. And I mean, we talked about this before we even started the podcast that we wanted to do this, and we're doing it now, and I'm glad we did it.
Mm-hmm. And I hope we said enough. I mean, I know like these guys' impact beyond baseball is insane. And it's going to be really hard to put into words, but hopefully we did a good job. Hopefully it was enough for y'all. But anyways, check us out on all our platforms, social medias, everything's in the description. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I was going to say something else. If you would like to have your name mentioned on the podcast, leave a review on iTunes. We've gotten a few on there. We'll shout you out. Good or bad. If you don't like us, that's fine. But constructive criticism always helps. Tell us how we can get better.
Yeah.
And next episode we'll have the wall up segment. We'll do all of our DFA Liberty Media stuff and all that stuff. So
We'll be back to
normal and doing our top moments and all that. We'll do. The next episode is going to be a little more normal, so I'm looking forward to it. So
yeah.
But this is obviously a very serious topic, so definitely wanted to pay him a little tribute for our podcast. So
yeah.
So here is Hank Aaron's 715th homer. So this is episode 11. Sorry. So everything's in the description, as I said. That's like the third time I said it. But we'll catch you guys all in episode number 12. That should be out on the 27th. When is the 27th? Is that Friday?
That is Friday. Or no, Saturday.
Friday. That is
or is
Saturday.
it Friday?
I don't know.
That is Saturday. That's Saturday.
That's Saturday. So we'll have that next episode up by Saturday, by game time. Unless something happens. Hopefully nothing happens.
Yeah.
But if everything goes according to plan, that episode's going to be out by Saturday. We're aiming for Friday, but obviously if it doesn't happen, something happened. But
yeah.
Were there any other issues I needed to address? I think I got everything out of the way. So
No, you got everything.
Once again, sorry for the echo, but we'll try to get that fixed. So until next time, my name is David Waters.
And I'm Luke Hardin.
We'll end on this incredible call from Vince Scully calling Hammer and Hank's 715th career homer. See y'all.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
So the confrontation for the second time. Aaron walked in the second inning. He means the tying run at the plate now. So we'll see what Downing does. Al at the belt delivers, and he's low. Ball one. And that just adds to the pressure. The crowd booing. Downing has to ignore the sound effects and stay a professional and pitch his game. 1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting. The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone. For baseball, what a marvelous moment for Atlanta and the state of Georgia. What a marvelous moment for the country and the world. A black man is getting a standing ovation in the Deep South for breaking a record of an all-time baseball idol. And it is a great moment for all of us, and particularly for Henry Aaron, who was met at home plate not only by every member of the Braves, but by his father and mother. He threw his arms around his father, and as he left the home plate area, his mother came running across the grass, threw her arms around his neck, kissed him for all she was worth. As Aaron circled the bases, the Dodgers on the infield shook his hand, and that was a memorable moment. Aaron is being mobbed by photographers. He is holding his right hand high in the air, and for the first time in a long time, that poker face of Aaron shows the tremendous strain and relief of what it must have been like to live with for the past several months. It is over. At 10 minutes after 9 in Atlanta, Georgia, Henry Aaron has eclipsed the mark set by Babe Ruth. You could not, I guess, get two more opposite men. The Babe, big and garrulous and oh so sociable, and oh so immense in all of his appetite. And then the quiet lad out of Mobile, Alabama, slender and stayed slender throughout his career. Ruth, as he put on the poundage and the paunch, the Yankees put their ball players in pinstripe uniforms because it made Ruth look slimmer. But they didn't need pinstripe uniforms for Henry Aaron in the twilight of his career. He looked almost the same as he did when he first came up 20 years ago. And so it was a memorable moment before the game, and now what a sweet moment it is here in the middle of the game. So Henry and the Babe, the two greatest home run hitters that have ever lived. And it's a marvelous, wonderful, enjoyable moment here in Atlanta. We're so happy, too, that it could be seen all over the United States, that it will be duly reported all around the world. And I'm sure films of it will be seen around the world, and you can hear Georgia around the world.